Yo, it's your boy O'Neal McKnight. We're back here on the Cray. I'm here with Sean Chase, Rob Weiss. We have a special guest, somebody I've known for a really long time. Excited to have him in the building, DJ MOS.
Yes, what up? What's going on?
What's going on,
Thank
man?
you guys for having me.
I mean, man, thank you for coming. I think we met probably around the time I got signed to SRC.
Yeah.
Universal Motown. Big shout to Steve Rifkin. Steve Rifkin gave me a singles deal because I had a record called Check Your Coat. It was hot in New York City. DJ Cassidy produced it. And it was just one of those organic records where it became like a New York nightlife club record.
Yeah, exactly.
All the DJs was playing it. DJ Enough Hot 97.
This was you?
This was me.
Yeah.
Why isn't that the theme song to our show right now?
Y'all didn't know about Check Your Coat?
I didn't. Yeah.
Like when he shot a music video at Tenju.
I mean, this guy's got more lives, more careers.
They had a
track out there.
They had a DeLorean. He had a DeLorean outside.
Music as our theme song for this show.
Christopher Lloyd at the damn video.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd was in the video.
Played Doc Brown.
Christopher Lloyd from Taxi.
Yeah, he was in the video. We got one of the DeLoreans from Back to the Future. There was only like 3 left. Jermaine Dupri remixed the record. He rapped on the record. Puff rapped on the record.
What?
And we did a record together too.
And we did a record together. And so we met like that in the club space, and people just started was like, "Yo, O'Neal, come through, perform." That was a good time because I was getting I would show up and get $3,500, $5,000. From Manhattan to the Hamptons,
Right.
Like just clocking that money.
Yeah.
And so I became really cool with all these DJs, and MOS was one of those guys that supported the record. And
we used to see each other
at
Puff's crib a lot because my wife started doing Puff's parties.
Yep. His wife
started DJing Puff parties, so I started seeing you over there a lot.
Yep. His wife is a really dope DJ. But while we're talking about DJing and just the DJ space, like, I noticed during the pandemic and the quarantine and everybody was locked down and a lot of people were really, people who have like 9 to 5s were really stressed out about their jobs. Yeah. How did you being a DJ, because I don't know all the things that you do, but I can only imagine a part of your sole income come from you being a DJ.
Yeah, most of my income was that.
You do the Oscars, you do all these events. When they shut down nightlife, what was your initial thought? Because I watch you prevail, like you, D-Nice, DJ Cassidy, you guys prevailed in that space where a lot of DJs didn't know what to do. What was your initial thought though?
My initial thought was like, we're fucked. Like I was like, we gotta figure something else out. You know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as at first I didn't think they were gonna lock things down. I didn't think they were gonna shut the city down.
I didn't think so either.
And I caught COVID like around March 15th in the beginning.
Wow, in the beginning.
So I got sick, and then I was like, I got better. I was like, all right, you know what? They're still not gonna lock this down, but they did. So I started thinking about, okay, let me start producing. Let me start working on, like, I was doing like some YouTube stuff, so I was gonna start doing that. And when things started like really like when it seemed like this is gonna be go on for a long time, I started seeing DJs live streaming. So I saw D-Nice doing it and a couple other people. So I started doing that just as a way to kind of get my mind off of the fact that we were locked down. You know what I'm saying? But luckily I had a contract with Don Julio. So Don Julio had already signed a contract with them for the year as an ambassador. So they gave us half our money already up front. So we were good. And plus we had savings. So we were like, you know what? I told my wife.
Like you could ride it.
I was like, we could ride out to end of the year. We're good.
Right.
But, and but not we'd have to like cut corners and stuff like that. But we could ride out to the end of the year.
We were like 10 days into the lockdown where everybody thought the world was ending. Like toward the end of March last year, beginning of April, and it's fucking scary times. And like my business manager, 26 years, writes me. He's like, "Hey, what projects you got coming up?" Trying to figure out. I'm like, what are you, fucking dumb, motherfucker? I'm putting something together right now. I'm gonna go shoot. Like, what are you talking about? Like, the whole world's closed, motherfucker. Yeah, I fired him after 26 years. I was like, all right, I'm done, man. I'm done.
But I think people
it went a little further than that. But what do you mean? Be optimistic?
I felt like, because I heard that the clubs were gonna open back up in like June, July, maybe like April, whatever. So
because like I said, so many people just in general, whether you were a DJ, a person working a 9 to 5, you started to wonder like, how long is this shit gonna last, and how am I gonna like drain all my finances? What's the next step?
Well, pandemic, I think also, like, I think a lot of people had dreams of doing other things, and like And we're always like, yo, I have to work, I got to do this. But now you have an opportunity where like the
Yeah.
government was basically giving away money.
Right. I mean,
So
I
you can't, you can't complain about like not.
They sent me so much.
Yeah, there was like there was rent
Fucking sent me
moratoriums. You have to worry about
nothing.
like LA DWP wasn't charging anybody for being late. So like you had opportunity to like create something during that time.
Right.
You
Right.
did. Everybody was online looking for something to do.
Right.
Something to watch.
I would always say, I'm like, if you weren't being creative and getting something done during that time, you really failed.
I have so many
You
friends
really
that started like podcasts, talk shows via IG Live that just blew up.
So wait a minute. Your wife is a DJ.
Yeah.
How competitive is that? Being that your wife is DJ, and have you ever lost a gig to your wife?
Oh, of course, I've lost a gig to my wife, definitely, and she's lost gigs to me too. So it's yeah, I mean, in the beginning, we used to be competitive when we started off because we're both like
Competitive.
very ambitious, competitive people. You know what I'm saying? And her being like a beautiful woman, you know, like a model and a amazing DJ. I mean, she's held residencies at like Vegas nightclubs. Avenue, New York, and I was a resident in One Oak around the corner, so we used to compete on Friday nights. So she could hold her own against anybody, but she would start doing like events for like Puff.
Oh, that's right. So
and she started doing events for like Nike, and like you don't wear Nikes, like you never, like, you don't like sneakers. But yes, but she kind of started blowing up doing that, and then I started doing like some fashion stuff. Like I did an event for BB, and she was like, you don't never bought me nothing for BB. Why? You know? That's kind of like what the show that we pitched that got picked up is about.
Yeah.
About how we met in New York City and like kind of came up together and
That's cool.
competing and like the whole nightlife scene. It's kind of like a power with a love story in the middle.
Yeah. I like that. I like
the power of love.
And
The
how long,
power
how
of love.
long have you been in LA for?
We've been in LA for 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, we started
Nice.
coming out here when we started DJing like the Oscars.
How's that like?
It's incredible.
I can only imagine.
It's dope. I mean, it goes by really fast.
How many years you guys been doing it?
We're doing it 5 years.
Okay.
Years.
And you guys
So
do
we're the
it
only
together?
DJs ever to do it more
That's
than
so
1 year.
cool.
Yeah.
So that's the actual Oscars, like the
Yeah, the actual
Governor's
show.
Ball?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
actual,
so we were doing the Governor's Ball after party, and
Yeah.
then they created a
That
place for us on the red
that
carpet.
seems like
Yeah.
a real lively bunch at the Governor's Ball.
That was fun.
So who's the better DJ?
Who's the better DJ?
You or your wife?
I would say my
I
wife.
didn't wanna
just-
ask. Oh,
just-
that's a
just
smart
so
answer.
Yeah, she's gonna see this.
Of course. Smart
She'd
answer.
say me. But yeah, I mean, listen,
Who's been doing it longer?
I started before. I started DJing like back in like.
How do we not have his wife here
96.
with him?
I know we should have.
Oh yeah, we should have brought
That's
her
the
on.
fucking. That's the perfect show.
That's the
like him and his
perfect
wife.
show.
Yeah,
That's
she had
perfect show.
she had a meeting today, so
She could have
she's
canceled
busy.
it, right? No?
Yeah, right. She's not.
He's
Canceled.
like, yeah, right.
So wait a minute. So Saturday, Club Insomnia.
Yeah, so we're doing our first live event.
Leaves
Live event?
It
Like in person?
it
In person.
leaves
Okay.
social media
Yeah.
and it's actually
For the
in a
first
venue.
time.
For the first time, yeah. Sponsored
That's
by Don
special.
Julio.
Awesome,
Thank
man.
you, Don Julio, for that. Yeah, I
Nice.
appreciate y'all.
And
That's
where are
big.
you guys doing it?
We're
Is
doing
this
it at
the
the
one you're doing?
Queensberry.
Yeah, I'm one of the
Queensberry
hosts.
downtown, 819 Flower Street. So it's
Yo,
just
that
like
looks fucking
speakeasy,
fun,
really dope.
man.
Oh no, we going, bro. We got
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Oh yeah,
fun.
we posted it. So the Oscars this year, are they doing it like? Is it going to be with the full crowd and everything?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
'cause
I
this
don't.
last year was weird.
Yeah, so last year
Award
they scaled
season,
it.
last year?
No,
award
we didn't
season
do
in
it.
general was weird.
They scaled
last
it down.
year.
We didn't do it last year. Questlove is
Right,
is now the
Questlove
music.
was
He's
in
the
there,
musical
right,
director
right,
now.
right.
For it, so he DJ'd and he brought someone, DJ Tara. Shout out to her. She's really dope to kind of do like the outside. You know, when people
Right.
are walking in.
Right.
So they scaled it back tremendously this year. I'm not sure what they're going to do for next year, but I think they're going to try to do it the regular way.
Got it.
They used to do it. But I think a lot of companies are realizing that they don't have to go all out to kind of create something special.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people realize they don't have to spend as much to get the same kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Perfect.
yeah.
Let's
All
do it.
right. Thank
The
you
Cray.
so much.
Let's
The
do it.
Cray.
I'm Rob Weiss.
Today on the Cray
Today.
is the legendary Sizemore Day.
That's right. That's right.
Which should be a national
when I
holiday.
met you, you just amongst friends hadn't even shown at Sundance yet, had it?
No, it did because
No, it had just shown.
moved
It had just
into
shown.
I moved into our units, Villa Flores. You don't live there
Villa
anymore, right?
Flores.
I don't want to give out your
No,
home
you know I
address.
don't. You know I don't live
Me
there.
and Tom, we lived. He lived upstairs
We
from
lived
me
right
at
directly-
Villa Flores. Right after Amongst Friends had premiered at Sundance, I went
Right
met,
after.
I went met Mickey Rourke, and met his manager Janie Cashmere. I said, I'm looking for a place to live. She goes, I'm moving out of my 2-bedroom today. I'll show it to you right now. I went over there, I saw it. It was a really super cool villa. And it came with, like, you know, amazing neighbor, Tom Sizemore.
Oh, that's the best.
Tommy was one of my first Hollywood friends in 1993.
And I moved in there because I hadn't just done, but I met Janie on Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, and after
That's right. So she put you in that building?
Yeah.
Oh, I never realized that. What was she, a fucking realtor on the side? What did she have going on?
And,
Oh, you were?
Yeah, at the time.
I don't even want to get into Tom's past, but yo, Tommy, like
And I
watching
didn't-
Tommy's flow
Yeah.
to and from his apartment.
It was a
pretty
good one,
wild.
wasn't it? It was
He was
a
pimping.
good.
He was
Pretty nuts.
he was
Like,
pimping.
Tommy had this little terrace, and he'd be saying goodbye. Bye, baby. Have a great day at work. And the girl would be walking out the front while another
Nice.
girl's coming up out of the
Nice.
parking
He's not
garage.
BSing you. I was really well organized then.
Yeah, he was. He had quite a lifestyle.
Cleaning up
Tom,
nice,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, that was. And Mike was down there, and you. Well, you guys were going out.
Well, it was me
You
and Elmo.
you went to the Monkey Bar before anyone else did that I knew of.
I went
I
to
got
Monkey
invited.
Bar
I
a
got
little
invited
bit,
there by
yeah.
Jack. I just thought he was bullshitting me that he said, "Yeah, I bought a bar."
Yeah,
I thought,
no,
he,
that
I thought he was just
bullshit
telling me that
is
it
hard,
wasn't
yeah.
even true. And then it was Rob was going out. I met
Well,
him.
you know where I was going also, though, is I was always going to Sunset Marquee, the whiskey
But
bar.
you
at
went out
Sunset
every
Marquee.
single night.
Well, yeah, I was like 25.
I know,
you
but
what
I-
mean? and I was drinking every night.
And
you
I thought it was looked like a
Tom-
whole lot
Tom-
of fun.
And what year was
It
this?
So,
In
yeah,
the
the
90s?
best is Tom would he'd show up in my list. So Sunday nights we'd have like me and the guys who played Vic and Eddie and amongst friends, Frank and Lou. They would cook pasta. We only had this little tiny 2-bedroom. Me and my buddy Neil Elmo, he was my roommate in it. So Frank and Lou would cook pasta. Always people would come hang out in this like little 2-bedroom. But Tommy would always be out, and he'd always be out with some actor that you'd be like, holy fuck, that guy's dope. Like Tom would just bang on the door, like he'd been out drinking with Bill Pullman, you know,
Mike
like,
Madsen.
and Mike Madsen, or fucking Michael Wincott, and Wincott, who's a fucking genius actor, you know. Would
Hey,
always
Rob, how
be-
you doing? How you
But he'd
doing?
always be
Nice to-
sketched out by us. He didn't want to come too far into the apartment. But the amazing
Who are
thing
those
about
guys
Tommy
downstairs?
is-
Who are those guys downstairs?
Yeah, he
I
was
used
just
to
like,
they're filmmakers.
but they'd come in and hang out. But
I
Tom,
think
if
they're
you
Jewish
went to
gangsters. I think
Tommy's-
Meyer Lansky's that guy's.
Yo, he did. You know what? I saw Wincott during the pandemic. He was staying at the Chateau, and he did. He really thought me and my friends were fucking like killers or something.
No, he did. He told
Yeah,
me.
he told me that.
said,
He's like, "Wow, you guys,
bet-
you know, you had a certain
I
kind
think
of
that Rob
energy."
Weiss guy,
Yeah.
Weiss guy's in the Lansky family.
It's so funny. But Tommy would
Michael's
come down.
afraid of everything.
If you went to Tommy's place, it was immaculate, man. Like just
Nice.
everything was neatly organized. But Tom would come in and he'd be like smoking your place and like flick the cigarette in the trash can lit. You'd be like, Tom, what are you doing? He was just a fucking animal. You know
I'm
what I
gonna
mean?
fuck
But-
up your place.
But I come up there, like I remember one time I came up eating something. He was like, follow me with a napkin. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Don't do that. Don't do that here.
Yeah, you had a cool place, man. You had a
It was a
deck
great
up off
place.
your place, and then I moved. You know, I had that fight with my brother in the courtyard.
Yeah. What did you and Mike fight about?
Who
It
the
was
fuck knows,
supposedly
bro?
a bad fight.
Yeah, we were screaming at each other and like wrestling in the middle of the courtyard. And
Did
just,
they
it was
ask-
like a movie. You just seeing lights pop on in various apartments, and they threw us out of there. And we rented a house up in the hills. And your
They
assistant
threw you out,
Glenn,
didn't they? They actually threw you out.
yeah, they evicted us over. it,
Oh, over the
whatever.
fight?
Wow.
Yeah, it was,
Oh, wow.
it was like two.
It was
they-
it was a button-down building.
Got you.
Dude, it was
Believe
only
it or
10
not,
units,
I was-
bro. There were 10 units.
I owned mine though, so you were renting.
Right, I was a renter.
They wanted me to
Right,
leave.
you don't have to make me feel
strongly
bad about
urged
being
me-
a renter.
They
Tom.
strongly urged me to move.
Did they?
Yeah, always. I would get
Yo,
little
I got
notes.
Tom an assistant. My brother's friend came out, needed a job. He became Tom's assistant.
I needed
He
an
lived-
assistant. I asked Rob, do you know anyone? And he said no. And then he called me one day.
I got Glenn Schneider for him.
Glenn
Glenn became
Schneider.
his assistant. So I moved up into this little tree house up like around Beechwood Canyon area, 20 minutes away from the apartment we used to live in. His assistant lived under my house in the studio. Me and Elmo lived upstairs. And I'd come home, like every once in a while, I'd come home and I'd find Tom in my house. One night I found it was like him and like Juliette Lewis and like Michael Stipe and Glenn. They're like, hey. And I'm like, oh, the neighbors found me.
Oh,
shit. Yeah, you know. And, so, and then, yeah. It was
This
kinda
whole
fun.
shit feel like it's
It was
a
a
movie.
Dude, it was so old school, man.
We didn't know what a special time. We were young. I mean, it was
Yeah.
a real special time in Hollywood too. The movies and the filmmakers.
Well, even
and-
when I saw you on Clubhouse, we were talking. I brought up that thing because I remember going. Tom was like really trying to. He was trying to figure out. He had this decision to make, which this says it all about the career. By the way, he had been offered a role in Terrence Malick's Thin Red Line, and at that time, Terrence
of the
Malick
leads.
hadn't made a movie in like 25, 30 years,
he
but
hadn't made
was a fucking legend.
But he hadn't made a movie since the one with Martin
Right.
Sheen and
Right, he had no. He made
Badlands.
one. No, he made.
What did he make?
He
You're
made
right. You're
Heaven,
right.
Days of Heaven.
Right.
He made
With Richard
Badlands
Gere.
and then Days of Heaven. Right. So he
But
had
it'd been like 22 years.
like 25 years. But it was like, holy shit, Terrence Malick's coming back. He's making a fucking movie.
With Sean Penn was attached.
And he'd been offered one of the leads in Saving Private Ryan
I've been
with
offered
Spielberg.
both movies.
Wow.
So I was sitting with him at lunch, and he was trying to figure out which movie to go and do, you know. And then he was
It's
like,
a good problem.
That's a good problem.
It's a good
Well,
dilemma.
I don't want to I don't want to put too much shit on blast. Which, by the way, we could always cut shit out of this, so don't worry about it. But I remember saying to him, I was like, well, you know, going to work with Sean Penn's pretty fucking cool. Tom Hanks is pretty cool. And I think for you at that time, you were trying to figure out who the safer bet was in terms of co-stars that you would get in the least amount of trouble with. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who would be? Like,
I actually was, because I was going to be out of the country,
right?
Either in Australia or London, and who might lead me further astray? Because I had a hard time staying on point.
Right.
As later was illustrated by
going
off.
Right. Going off point. Right.
Going off point. And I don't know if it was you, or I think it might have been Glenn. Glenn said, "Come on, Tom Hanks is the safest bet in town, Tom.
Right.
If this is what you're, come on,
Yeah.
Sean Penn. It's like
Yeah.
it's like God and the devil.
Right. Yeah.
Tom Hanks is God.
Right.
And Sean is the devil. I went, is he that bad a guy? He went, Tom, where have you been? No, he's not a bad guy. He's always in trouble. You'll be his little and you'll eat it. I went,
You definitely made the right choice.
You made the right
anyway.
decision,
Just
yeah.
in terms of movies
Here's
that
what-
hold up
I mean,
over time.
Saving
Saving
Private Ryan is one of the
Here's
greatest
what I did,
films
though.
ever
I don't know
created.
if you know this part of the story. I couldn't make up my mind, and I had to fly to London to do publicity for this other movie I did. It wasn't a great movie, but it was Open Up The Relic with Penelope Ann Miller. And it was the first time I played the lead in a studio. It was a Paramount movie, and it was a horror movie, and they had a lot riding on it. So I was doing publicity. So I was in London, and I was flying to London, and Malick said he wanted to know before I left. And I had made up my mind to do the Saving Private Ryan, but he had me on the phone, and then he made me come meet him at the Hamburger Hamlet, which is where he did all his meetings. And I couldn't tell him to his face that I wasn't going to do his movie, so I said I was going to do it, knowing I wasn't. But I said just so I could leave.
Right, yeah. But everybody does
So I
that
said-
shit. Everybody lies, man. That's why. That's what you're paying 10% for. For other
I
people
sat
to
down
say
and he
no.
immediately said, "So which one is it? Which one is it? Come on, me or Steven? Me or Spielberg?" And I went, he went, so look, you can go to Spielberg and you can go on your rides and your roller coasters and your you really kind of run them down and your merry-go-rounds, or you can come with me and make a motion picture.
Wow.
And I thought that was kind of shitty what
that
he said.
was
Like that.
fucking-
Wow.
Well, it's
He threw
it's not only
shade.
shitty.
He
It's
threw
not only
shade.
shitty. It's a little bit like, you know, he's a little bit fucking nuts.
He's
little
a lot
denial.
nuts. He's a lot nuts.
Yeah, I mean, Steven's one of
and he
the
made me
greatest
feel.
filmmakers
He
ever.
made me feel like if I picked Steven, that I was intellectually inferior.
Right.
And so I said,
Yeah.
well, of course I'm gonna do your movie, Terry. I mean, you had to have me drive all the way over here to tell you that.
Right.
He went, so you're in the movie, right? So now it's Sean and you.
Right.
And I'm
You
gonna
should have
build
fucked with
from
his
there.
head, Tom.
Now hang on, I'm gonna build from there. And
Yeah.
I thought Nick Nolte was. He said, no, it's not definite. So it's you and Sean. I got my pillars now. And without saying like, don't fuck me, and I went, yeah, it's me and Sean and you. And he went, no, it would be me, Sean, and you.
Oh shit!
So I fly to London, and I'm staying at the Blake, right? I'm staying at the Blake, and I get there, and I get a call from my agent when I get there. What have you done? What have you done? Do you know what's happened in the last 11 hours you've been on an airplane? Malick had called up to make a deal immediately, and I thought he'd like wait or something.
Yeah,
and
wait a couple
They're already
days.
negotiating with Mr. Spielberg, and I've told them both I'm doing it, and I said, oh wow, really? Did you tell me to do his movie? And I went, well, yeah, kind of. I mean, I was nervous. I was uncomfortable. I went, oh, you fucked up, Tom. I can't tell you the agent's name. He's a powerful agent. I can't do this myself. You got to call him. I'm not going to go through this hell. I went, what kind of hell am I going to go through? You got to call Malick and tell him that you're not in the movie. I'm not telling him. You're going to have to tell him.
So what happens? Do you have to go back to Hamburger Hamlet? Or
No, I was in London. Thank God, I was in London. But when I called to tell him, he cussed me out
Right.
and kept me on the phone.
Oh man.
It felt like an hour. It was probably more like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
But he made me feel like the dumbest, stupidest, unprofessional fucking child. He must have called me a child. Like,
Wow.
Did I graduate from junior high? Fuck high school. Did you get out of fucking junior high?
Yeah.
This is a man's work. This you can't do this to men.
I would have spun it on
was
him, man.
really fucking. He made me feel really awful. I was tearful.
Wow.
I was tearful.
Yeah.
And I said, "Is there any way I can do both?" He went,
Why couldn't
he
you,
went,
man?
"Are you
the schedule?
crying?
I don't understand the
Are you-"
schedules. I don't understand the schedule.
Malik's
with
movie
that,
went
that
Malik's,
side by side.
No, Malik's movie went
So
for
what
like
was the
9
issue?
months.
Yeah, so
it
why
went for
did-
9 months.
and
I could have done both. That was the joke. When it all said and done, I could have done both.
Dude, he chopped out Adrian Brody's entire fucking
That was
part.
like 5 months
The
of
guy just-
shooting.
the guy, Adrian Brody.
He
The
cut
whole
out 5
other
months of
movie.
shooting.
Yo, Adrian Brody's character,
The whole
Fife,
other-
was the lead of the
parallel
book.
movies. They're parallel movies. There's the Jim Caviezel movie, and then there's the Adrian Brody movie. And Sean kind of straddled both, right? Sean's in both
Right,
stories.
and Brody's whole movies I cut out. He's walking through like the woods, just looking scared the whole time. You should have fucked with Malik's head and said, "Listen,
That's a
I
fact.
think you're unstable. You haven't made a movie in 25 years. I'm worried if I come out there, it's just gonna fuck with
Dig
your
this.
process."
He never called
And you're
Adrian and told him. So when Brody went to the first screening,
Yeah, he saw it.
with
I know.
his
I
people,
talked to Adrian
he
about it
didn't know.
afterwards, Yeah.
He didn't know he's going there with his family. Like,
Yeah, I think he was
I'm the
disappointed.
star of this
man.
movie.
He was really disappointed.
Wow.
He's in the movie for like
No,
11
it's
minutes.
sick, man. It's
That's
sick.
sick.
I thought it was a
There's
beautiful
close-ups of
movie, man. Like
Caviezel
they had
looking
these
at
voiceovers,
butterflies.
great music, Jim
it was
Caviezel's
great.
voice. It was very soothing.
Jim was great in the movie.
No, it was like soothing, man. It was
Yeah.
like it was very like esoteric.
It's
kinda.
not Saving Private Ryan though.
No, that's a
No
real
way.
fucking film. It's
Saving
different.
Private
It's a
Ryan
piece
was-
of art,
yeah.
man.
What Terry was what Malick was trying to do was to show. This is what he's trying to do. Okay, if you went 25 feet this way and made a left, you're in the war with the Japanese. But if you went 25 feet that way and made a right, you're in the forest and the world of nature.
And if you went 10 steps backwards, you're in a war with yourself.
Yeah.
yeah,
And if you went 30 feet forward,
there was
it was very.
It was a really deep movie, and it was much different.
It was.
movie
I
than-
watched it a couple times. When I saw it in the theater,
It's
funny.
better
I
the
had, like,
third,
an
fourth time
experience
around.
watching it. I
Yeah.
was really moved by it, and I remember calling Doug Allen, who I did Entourage with. It was way before Entourage. And I was like, "You got to go see this, man. It's just so brilliant." And then he went and saw it. He's like, "I didn't get it at all." I was like,
He was like,
because it's not that kind of narrative.
it's not that kind of
not
narrative.
like when you watch Saving Private Ryan. There's a
Dude.
strong story drive.
Yes.
This
Yes.
From the
it's
very
just like
first shot.
meandering. It's like, what is this about man? Why does man love violence? So it's just like,
Yeah.
and you're like, it's
Yeah.
like poetry.
Yeah.
Lyricism.
Right.
what was it like working with Spielberg?
It was it was a great experience. He was he cast who he thinks can. All the great directors I worked with had one thing in common. They knew what they knew what they wanted to make.
Gotcha.
Right. So they're the ones who they know they can see the movie in their head, so they can almost direct you in shorthand, and they hire actors that they think can do the parts, and so there's not a lot of. It's like a more of this, less of this. It's not like you're going to get into any interpretation talks with them. You're an actor. You're talented. That's why I hired you, and so this is what we're doing here. One thing Steven did say was, I'm not big on improving. I have this the first meeting we had with him after we did the boot camp, he said, before we started the first day, night before the first day, he said, "I've already shot this movie, cut this movie. I'm actually doing publicity right now, and the billboards are going up. I just need you guys to carry out the moves."
That's sick.
So you already mapped it out.
Yeah, I kind of connected dots. It's going to be 2 hours and 18 minutes long, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And
Science, man.
Science.
so, and I said on a certain level, and I'm not taking your creativity away from me, but you're just to carry out the moves, like connecting the dots.
Right.
So if you deviate with these improvs, you add too much time here. As good as it might be. So just let's not.
Basically, he was like, stick to the script.
Well,
let's agree.
You were really, you and Tom Hanks were really the main actors.
Yeah,
out
you
there
were
because-
Oh, hell yeah.
The two
No, the
leads,
only reason I'm
yeah.
saying that is because, and I remember when you came back, you're like, this fucking guy. You were referring to like all these other filmmakers. They had taken all these. Some of them got like Vin Diesel's gone on and become a huge star. But like Eddie Burns, you'd be like, this kid. He's a Long Island kid. Like you were out there. You were almost like the seasoned veteran,
Right, to those guys,
of the
because
young
they-
people compared to them because they were all fucking new,
Brand new.
Right.
Eddie
Goldberg,
had
all these
done-
kids.
Eddie had done-
Wasn't Vonnie in it too? Vonnie Ribisi, right?
Gio was in
Yeah,
it.
right.
Jeremy Davies.
Right.
Adam Goldberg.
Right.
Barry Pepper.
Right.
All these
And they
guys
were
had
all
done.
kids,
all
right.
of these guys had done 1 or 2 movies.
Right.
Eddie had done Brothers McMullen.
Right.
Jeremy had done Spanking the Monkey.
Right. Exactly.
Vin had done nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Vin
his
had done
first
a
No,
movie.
role.
Vin had
First
made
role
his
ever.
movie. Vin made his
His
movie.
first that he wrote.
Oh,
that he
his
wrote
own
and
thing.
directed.
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
But it
yeah.
hadn't
starred
come
in,
out
but
yet,
that's
right?
why he, No, it did. I think it came out. And
Or
that's
did
how
they
found him.
just see it? Did he just send
I
it to
think
them?
he saw it. I don't know. I think Spielberg
Maybe
saw
Steven
but-
saw it, right?
Yeah.
And then cast him. But all those guys were like brand spanking
Yeah.
new.
Right.
Yeah.
Which gave the movie
I should have been in
a
that
really great,
motherfucking
you could
movie,
have been in
Tom.
the movie.
I should have
But
been
it
in
gave
that
the
movie.
movie.
Burns role?
It gave the
That
movie a
100%,
great
man.
energy.
I love Eddie,
It
but
gave
I
a
could've
great. It
fucking
gave the
done
movie a
that
great
shit.
energy because they
Yeah.
were so excited. You know, young
Yeah.
actors like that,
Exactly.
young
Well,
talented
young
actors.
director actors too, to be out there learning
Three of
from
them.
Spielberg. Yeah,
Three
it's
of them.
crazy.
I mean, three of them.
Yeah.
Vin, Edward, and Adam Goldberg.
Yeah.
Who won, you know, you got three
Yeah.
director actors.
Yeah.
You know, real students of
Yeah.
film and serious young people. You know, and really
Right.
talented young people.
Right.
So there was a great energy. You know, every day. You know, where Tom and I wasn't a veteran, but I'd done Natural Born Killers already. I'd done
Right.
Devil in a
Scagnetti on
Blue Dress.
Scagnetti.
I'd done Heat.
Yeah.
I'd done some really big movies that were very visible. And you know, Tom
Natural Born
was
was sick,
Tom,
dude.
and these
Yeah.
guys were, you know, so they
Yeah.
gave them.
Huh?
There was a buoyancy.
Yeah, he was one of
yeah,
these. He was
yeah.
Scagnetti.
And then Matt, of course. Matt had done Good Will Hunting, and he'd done the movie with Brendan Fraser about the boys.
Yo, we
that
got to
they-
talk about Oliver though after, man. We
What
gotta
happened
talk
to
one
Oliver?
story where Oliver yelling at you, bro. Because I'll tell about Oliver ripping me a new ass also. When Oliver Stone
Oliver
called
put me
and he
through
was
hell.
fucking screaming at me. And
Oliver
I just
put
went
me-
like this. Me too. And I just covered the phone and like I just wanted
was
to go
screaming
out
at you?
with Shannon Doherty. Yeah, and her family said table, and he's like, "Well, you fucking ass for favor." And I'm sitting there. I'm like,
And what happened with you and Shannon? You dated Shannon, right?
"Yeah, me and Shannon dated for like on and off like 7 years."
That's right. You were in love. Yeah.
Yeah,
What was
she
he
was-
cussing
she
you
was my
out?
girl, man, back in
She
the
was
day.
your girlfriend
Yeah.
when you at the
No, she
floor?
wasn't cursing me out. Oliver was cursing me out.
No, what was he cursing you about over Shannon for?
No, he wasn't. I was with Shannon at the house with a family,
Gotcha.
and he like, basically, I'd asked him because I was going to do at that time. I was going to do American Psycho.
You were going to direct it, right?
Yes, remember that? So
Yes, I do remember
And
it.
then they were like, Ed Pressman's like,
I was
maybe
excited. I thought
Oliver
you
will
should
come
do it.
on because I had a relationship with Oliver. So I asked Oliver about
Who was
going to
be your guy?
Well, that's the thing. The actor. Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, who was going to be your
So
guy?
I had asked Oliver about an actor. I don't even want to say who it is, but I have a relationship with that person now. But I was like, "What do you think about this guy?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's."
You guys know who played it?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Christian Bale.
He's probably the greatest actor of his generation.
Yeah, Christian
It
Bale. But it was my
and it was
idea
Christian
was
Bale.
not Christian
It was
Bale.
Christian Bale's coming out party.
Yeah,
too.
it was his. It was
100%.
his.
that
That
was
thing
his
almost
debut.
fell
Yeah,
apart
yeah,
for
that
like
was his big
Leo and
debut,
Catherine
yeah.
Hardwick was gonna dip, or was it Catherine Hardwick? No.
You don't want to tell us who you wanted
Who
to
directed? Was it
Who were you
Catherine
thinking?
Hardwick? No, it
Who
wasn't
directed
It
it?
was Mary.
A woman directed it. I know
No,
that.
it was Mary Herron. Not
That's who
Catherine
directed
Hardwick.
it. You're right.
I was getting confused.
I can take a
Maybe
guess
they're
who I
women.
think your guy was.
No, don't say who it was.
He's
But
like,
here's the thing.
Is he a star now?
Huh?
Is he a star now?
Yeah, he's a fucking
Yeah,
superstar.
he's a mega star now.
George.
George
No.
who, Lucas?
No,
Clooney.
what?
No, it wasn't fucking
No.
George Clooney.
Who?
Who?
It was quirky, interesting actor back
Hang
then.
on,
I
hang
won't say who it
on.
was.
Hang on. I'm trying to think. Was he good looking?
Bro, he's one of your homies, dude.
Ed Norton?
He did Natural Born with you. That's why I brought it up. It was Downey.
Oh.
So it was
that would have been
Downey.
great. That would have
Yeah,
been great.
that would've
So
been
I
good.
Downey doesn't even know the story, and I know
Robert's one of my.
Robert a little
Is
bit.
still one of my dogs.
I love Robert, man. So
Yeah. So did Robert know you wanted to use him? I'm just.
no,
joking.
I never told him.
Oh,
I
you
never
didn't tell
told
him?
No, I never brought this up because I never thought about it until we just sat down. But the reality is this. So I said to Oliver, I said, "What do you think about Downey?" He's like, "Oh, Bob, yeah, that's interesting. Let me think about it."
Had he already directed Natural Born
So,
Killers?
Yes. So it was after it was out. So then he calls me up. He's like, so yeah, I offered the movie to Robert.
Who
And I
had?
go, Oliver did. And I go, oh, well, I didn't ask you to offer it to him. I just asked you what you thought.
So
And-
Oliver owns the property. He's going to produce the
He
movie.
doesn't own it. Ed Pressman owns it.
I was gonna say,
But
Ed
Oliver,
owns it, but-
Oliver and I were developing some stuff
understand.
together,
Right,
right?
right,
He was
right,
like,
right.
what do you want to do?
Oliver liked you a
so
whole
when
lot.
I
I
got
know that.
involved in American Psycho with Ed Pressman, obviously they have a relationship. They had done. I don't know if they did, but I think Platoon. But they definitely.
Ed
did
kind
Wall
of he
Street
did
together.
they did do a Platoon together, and Ed kind of
And they did
deferred to
Wall
Oliver.
Street,
Yeah.
But they did Wall Street together for a fact. That
Right.
I know. So he's like, oh, maybe Oliver will come on. I go, great. I love Oliver. We all have this relationship. Oliver could be like a mentor figure. Dude, I'm like fucking 27 years old. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, you were a kid.
I'm so
man.
confused by this town. I'm like, huh, what? So basically, I'm like, what do you think about Downey? You know, and I fucking looked up to Downey. Downey's one of the guys like Rourke, like yourself, kind of guys who were fucking doing it when I got out here. That I was like, oh, that's the guy, Sean Penn. All those
Robert
guys.
was a star already.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was a star in the 80s, man.
done
And He
Chaplin.
was a star when I saw him in fucking Weird Science.
He was a star
Less
then.
Than
Yeah.
Zero. He
Yeah.
was just fucking killing it. So I said, Oliver, what do you think about this guy? He says, let me think about it. And then he calls me, tells me he offered it to Robert. And I was like, well, I didn't say to offer it to him. I just asked you what you thought. And he fucking lights into me, goes, when you ask for a fucking favor, you better know what the fuck you want. And he's ripping me a new ass, and I'm like, oh, my career's dead. That's all I'm thinking is I'm getting thrown off this movie.
Really? He
My
did you
career's
like that?
dead. So I covered the phone, and I was like, I looked at Shannon. They were all like, look at me. I'm like, oh, Stone's ripping me a new ass. He's going crazy. So like he hangs up on me. I panic. I call Ed Pressman, and I'm like, I really need to talk to him. I'm like, Ed, I think you're gonna get an angry phone call from Oliver, and he's like, well, and Ed's like the sweetest, like fucking very
Just
like
calm,
chill dude,
nice
calm, very
genteel
like,
gentleman.
Yes, and he's like, well, what happened? And I was like, well, I just asked him what he thought about Downey, and he just went nuts. I need to know what the fuck I want. He's like, well, you know, you should tell Oliver he's not doing you any favors. Oliver's getting paid. I forgot what the numbers were. He's getting X amount to produce this movie. It's his fucking job to do that. And I was like,
That's what he told you to tell
yeah,
Oliver?
I go, but he didn't say fucking, but he said it's his job to do that. And I was like, I could
couldn't
tell that.
I couldn't have told Oliver that.
I go, I could tell him that. And he goes, you could tell him whatever you want. And I go, really? And I was like, it was like one of the first guys to ever give me permission to like, you know what I mean? And then I remember even being around Juliet and people like that back in the day, and yourself being like, yo, Oliver will go at you hard if you don't say, shut the fuck up,
you have
leave me
to.
the fuck alone. Like,
You have
even
to.
I went and met him 2 years ago about a project, and again, I was still like, I still always get starstruck with that guy because it's fucking Oliver Stone, you know?
Yeah.
And I go sit with him, and he's like, yeah, so, and I tell him 3 times. I was introduced by his kid Alex, and I told him 3 times, well, we met before. And we're going, and he's like, he says, well, you know, what are you going to do with the business? I was like, Oliver, we met before. We know each other 25 years. He goes, he's like, well, we do? What's your name? I go, it's Rob Weiss. I go, I made Amongst Friends. You love that movie. And he goes, Rob Weiss, the Long Island wise ass. He's like, I thought they sent you back to, no, he goes, you're the wise ass. I thought they sent you back to Long Island. I go, nah, man, I'm still here. I've been doing it.
Oh,
I saw Oliver. Listen, I saw Oliver recently, and he said, I thought you were framed and got 25 years. When did you get out? I said, what are you talking about? Yeah. he went, how long have you been out of prison? I said, oh, stop it, Oliver. I went for 5 hours in 2007.
It's hysterical, man. But back in the day, he fucking put a lot of pressure on actors.
Oh,
right?
yeah. When I met him for That's More Killer, like I met him. I went to the Monkey Bar.
Right.
Okay, they're doing the movie, right? I don't know if it was you, maybe you or Wincott. Wincott told, I think it was Wincott said, "Hey, Oliver's doing to do this movie called Natural Born Killers. It's unbelievable. It's Quentin Tarantino's script.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah." That's when Quentin was like Zeus, and I somehow got a hold of the script. I don't know how I got a hold of it, but I got a hold of it and I read it, and I was told that Michael Madsen, who was like my best friend, was going to be playing Mickey, and no disrespect to Michael, but I always thought I was better for Mickey.
Right.
So I called up Risa Brayman, who was my friend. I had studied at the Ensemble Studio Theater in New York, and she was the casting director there for their one-act plays. In the summer, they did a thing called the Ensemble Studio Theater's Marathon of One-Act Plays, and it's like David Mamet, all these great writers would do part of a play that they might be writing and stuff, and you'd have all these great actors come in. And I had studied there.
Yeah,
it was a theater company with a school. And now she'd gone on to become this big shot casting director. She cast Desperately Seeking Susan, which led to Platoon. And then she kind of became Oliver's personal.
Right.
And then she Catherine Bigelow, and she was like the go-to person for serious movies or Strange Days, or to find new New York actors that hadn't hit yet. And I was friends with her, so I called her up and I said, "Is there any way that I could read for Mickey?" And she said, "It's cast." And I said, Risa, I didn't even get a chance. I didn't even know about it. He said he knew who he wanted. He was the only chance you'd have is if you sandbag him.
Right.
And I went, I didn't know what sandbag him meant. And I went, what do you mean sandbag him? Well, you know, when he's out, and just talk to him about it.
Right.
So I was like, oh, well, thanks. So I hang up with it.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for the advice.
Go find Oliver Stone and talk to him.
Yeah, go find Oliver Stone.
He's fully stable and engaging at all times.
So
thanks for the pro tip.
Within a couple days, though, I'm at the Monkey Bar, which I was now going there frequently with Wincott,
right?
Who Weiss had turned us on to this, and it was Jack's place, and it was Nicholson's place, and it was the hippest bar in the history of bars that I've ever been to.
A lot of blococaine going through that place.
It was just like the best, the most talented people were there. It was good looking women, and that sounds kind of sexist, maybe. I don't know. It was just it was a great place. It was
fun.
It was fun.
Really fun.
By 90 standards, you're not allowed to have that fun anymore.
And because of Jack,
cashed out at a good time.
Because of Jack, there was no 2:00 thing. It was open till 6, or whenever they wanted to go home. So
you know where it is, Sean. It's where Jar is now.
It's on Gardner. It was on Gardner and
that place
Fairfax.
Jar. It's just like
it's on Beverly and Gardner.
Yeah.
And then it became Indochine after that.
Yep, I remember Indochine.
It was a really nondescript place and a nondescript building, but inside it wasn't nondescript. So I'd been there. I went there a couple days later, and there's Oliver sitting with Alan Finkelstein and he was the guy. I get this idea. This idea that I'm going to learn that monologue, and I'm just going to go and sit down. Okay,
You did that?
So this is what I did. I learned, we're near the end of the movie where they do the interview, and the end of the last line is, shit, man, I'm just a natural born killer.
Yeah.
And he goes, shit, man, I'm just a natural born, this species and that species and that species and that species, and shit, man, I'm just a natural born killer. And Donnie goes, aha, he's a star.
Yeah.
Okay, that monologue. So I learned that monologue, and Oliver's, I have spies, and I get a call. I don't know who he was. He goes, he's here. So I go to the monkey bar, and he's sitting down, and I try to sit down, and I go, Oliver, I want to, and he won't. He just, I couldn't get his attention, and then he went to leave, and he's waiting for his car, and I just started doing the monologue, and he initially went, Tom, stop, Sizemore, come on. Sizemore, stop. I won't stop. I refuse to stop.
Awesome,
and when he flicks his car open, I get in the passenger seat.
Right.
I get right in the passenger seat. He's alone, and I'm still doing it. He goes, you're fucking shitting me, right? And I went, Oliver, you got to listen to. I'm almost done. And he went, and he goes, start from the beginning, and he pulls up like a couple houses and pulls over. And I do the monologue in his fucking car at 1:30 in the morning, and I'm doing it. And he goes, "You learned all those lines, huh?" When I'm done, right? And I go, "Of course I learned the lines. That's all you got to say." Actors always learn lines. He goes,
"You really your book?
You really learned all those lines."
You're like, how did it sound, man?
I want to go like. I thought it was wonderful what I did. I thought I got to fire Madsen now. I got to hire you. Oh. And he goes, I went, of course I learned the lines, but look what I'm doing. And he went, what do you mean? I said, I'm doing the monologue in your car on Saturday night at 2 o'clock. This isn't, he goes, oh. He never really got it. He went, yeah, come by the office on Monday at 6:30. I went, really? He went, yeah, I'm Sizemore, I'm serious. Yeah. I went, really? If you keep asking me like that, you're gonna piss me off. I'm gonna say no. Yeah. So that Monday, I go to his office, Ixtlan. It was this company, IXTLAN. It was in Santa Monica.
In that big water tower.
Yeah. So I go there, and the only person in the building is Risa and Mary Vernew, who has gone on to become the legendary Mary Vernew.
Right.
So Mary lets me in. There's no one in the building, and I said, Mary, where is everybody? And she goes, there's nobody here. It's just us. Yeah. And we're leaving. It's just gonna be you and him. So Risa walks me in, and she goes, okay, Oliver, I'll see you tomorrow morning. So then she's gone, and it's just me and him. And Oliver is sitting there, he goes, it's a big ball. It took quite a lot of courage to do that the other night, Tom. Sizemore, he called me Sizemore usually. Yeah. And I went, no, Oliver, I wasn't born on the 4th of July. I knew him, and I had socialized with him quite often. So it wasn't like, And I said, well, Oliver, it wasn't that courageous. And he goes, well, listen, what about your buddy Mike Madsen? I said, what about him? And he goes, he's playing Mickey. So I tried to play dumb. I went, no, really? He goes, stop it, Sizemore, stop it. He's playing me. Stop it. That's what your relationship with Madsen means, huh? Fuck him, right? Fuck him.
Really?
Fire him? Want me to fire him?
Yeah.
You want to play the part? I'm like, come on, Oliver. Don't make me say anything. I mean, it's fucking Hollywood. It's once in a lifetime. I mean, if you want me to say fuck him, fuck him. If I play that part, I'll get an Oscar nomination. Right. He went, nah, Golden Globe. More of a Golden Globe kind of performance. It's not an Oscar movie. It's kind of mean. And I went, I'll win a Golden Globe. And he went, so let's call up Michael and tell him to fuck himself, huh? And I went, oh, no, don't do it in front of me, please. He's my best friend. And Oliver said, let me write that down. Friendship in Hollywood. Oh, don't call him up and destroy his life. Do that when I'm not looking.
You, bro.
Do that when I'm not looking. Do that when I'm not looking. And then hire me. And then you can go piss on his grave. I went, who said piss on? I didn't say piss on his grave.
Yeah.
He
took it a step further.
Listen, if he killed himself and I said I won't cast unless you piss on his grave, would you piss on his grave? I went, well, he's dead. What the fuck?
Well, it's a sick conversation, man.
Yo, this is dope.
Hang on a second. So he goes, listen. He goes, stop. I was really tripping, and he goes, I'm gonna hire Mel Gibson. I went, to play Mickey?
That's crazy.
What about Michael Madsen?
Yeah.
And he said, look at this list. Look at this list. And he gave me a list, and it said, I said, it said Mel Gibson, Tom Cruise, Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson. It's 4 names. He goes, if I cast one of those guys as Mickey, my budget goes from 7 or 9 to 29.
Right.
Okay, that's what Bob and Terry told me. Not Bob at Daily.
Summer?
Terry Summer.
Yeah.
Okay. I went, I kind of got it. I went, so he goes, I want more money. Okay, I want more money. Okay, it's just you and me. Listen, I was there. I'll tell you the whole story. So he goes, I went in the other day. I asked for more money, and they said we can't give you any more money with Michael Madsen as the lead with Juliette Lewis. We can give you more money if you cast, ideally, Sharon Stone and Mel Gibson. Imagine the movie with them.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
what. But Oliver said, well, give me some other choices. So Oliver said, I do not want to recast Mallory, but
Right.
I'll consider recasting Mickey. So they gave him Mel, Tom, Kevin, and Woody.
Who got it?
Woody, who was
I'm
coming.
only kidding,
Woody, who
I'm
was
kidding.
coming off of White Men Can't Jump, and the
That's
big,
what
the
he's
big.
coming off? So
No,
that's
he was coming
before-
off. No, he was
that's
coming off
before
of.
Larry
He
Flint?
was coming
Yeah,
off. No,
before
he was
Larry
coming. No,
Flint.
not that. No, that was after. He was
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
off of
yeah.
the thing with Redford and Demi Moore.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What's the name of that movie?
Indecent Proposal.
Indecent Proposal.
Indecent Proposal.
You can fuck his wife for $1 million bucks, right?
Yeah.
He was coming off of that, which wasn't a great performance by or a great movie, but it was a big hit movie.
You want to talk about misogynistic? In that movie, he asked the husband permission.
He didn't even ask her.
Yeah.
He
Now
asked
they'd
him.
be like, "What the fuck does he got?"
Well, you could never get that movie made.
sell the wife.
Never get that movie made today.
Into that.
Of course
no
not, but
way.
that, you know, I don't
So-
know. That shit's now like an Instagram.
So he said,
story,
he said,
you know?
he said, you see your name on that list? And I went, no. He goes, who would you cast on that list? And I went, I'd probably cast Cruise. Why would you cast Cruise? And I went, he's the biggest star on the list, and I was there when he did Born on the 4th, and he was remarkable in that movie.
Right.
And he went, you don't think he's homogenized? I went, no, I'm not one of those guys. I think that's a lot of. He went, you cast Cruise, huh? And I went, you think he'd take it? He went, he would never take it. I don't think he'd take it.
Yeah.
And he went, I'm thinking of Woody. And I went, well, what about me?
You're like, what's going to become of me? So how
I remembered me. He went,
But you had a
did you
dope-ass
read
role.
this?
How'd
Did you
you
read
wind
the
up
script?
with
Did you
it?
read
Yeah.
the script? And I went, yeah. And he went, what about Scagnetti? And I thought it was James Woods. And I went, I thought that's Jimmy Woods. And he went, it's Jimmy Woods or Gary Oldman. What about you for that?
Yeah.
And I went, well, I wasn't thinking about it, but how about this? How about fuck Jimmy and fuck Gary?
Yeah.
And you play it. And I went, well, I'm friends with Gary, but what do you mean? And he went, let's talk about Scagnetti. So when he starts telling me about Scagnetti, and he says he was from this other script. Scagnetti's in all of Quentin's scripts. He was a bail bondsman, and and he's based on an agent.
bounty hunter.
He's based on an agent that Quentin met when he first came to Hollywood. There's a Jack Scagnetti who was an agent. Did you know that?
No.
No, he's still there. He's still working. He was still working like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Still in business. This guy who signed everybody. His name was Jack Scagnetti, former bail bondsman.
Yeah.
Now when his office door said bail bondsman agent, Oliver had a picture of it from like 1984. Bail bondsman agent attorney.
That's so fucking
No bullshit. And
Yeah.
Quentin thought it was funny too, so he put him in all his movies.
Wow, that's hilarious.
He goes, and I'm going to make it bigger. But he told me about this Jack Scagnetti character, and he goes, "Hey, let's go to out to eat." So I go to dinner with him, and we get kind of drunk, and we've been talking about Scagnetti the whole time. He goes, "How would Scagnetti walk? Was Scagnetti the kind of guy to have change in his pocket? Certain guys have change. Certain guys leave the house like." Are you the kind of guy? I remember I said, Sizemore, are you the kind of guy? Like, when you go to leave the house in the morning, you go, oh fuck, man, I gotta get some change in case I park my car, and I gotta, or in case I want to give some bum a quarter if you're in Manhattan. Are you that kind of guy? And I went, no, I'm not that kind of guy. He goes, Scagnetti is. Scagnetti's that kind of guy. So what kind of guy does that? And I went, someone who's organized. And he goes, yeah, maybe a psychopath does that kind of thing. Somebody who's think of it like this, Tom. Let's think you kill people. That's what you do for fun. But when you're not killing people, you want everybody to think you're a decent guy.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy that does this. Okay, and that was like his jumping off point for Scagnetti. So we got into like a 2-day. I went home. I was gonna go home, and he said, "Fuck it."
Yeah, I remember. I think you told me he gave you a line of direction once, like you come on, say, remember, you could kill every single person in this
Yeah, you could kill everybody. Kill everybody on the set. Yeah. So I ended up staying the night, and the next morning he said, "I'm never sure to trust the previous evening's festivities if I drank as much as I drank last night." So when I went to bed, I was thinking you should be in the movie. Should I be thinking that? And I went, "Oliver, we were talked for 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. You're talking about you don't remember any of it?"
I've been running around all day changing my fucking pocket, putting money in other people's meters so they think I'm a good person.
This is when he did his trip on me. He goes, "So listen, Sizemore, I'm making a table. All right, this movie to me is a table. I got 4 legs. All right, I'm gonna cast Harrelson. I'm gonna get Harrelson, and Julia, he's a leg. Woody's a leg. Downey's a leg, and Tommy Lee's a leg. Yeah. But it's a 5-legged table. You're gonna be my 5th leg. Are you gonna wobble on me? Are you a wobbly leg?" And like I didn't get the metaphor. He went right into the metaphor right away. Yeah. And I was a little hungover too. And I was like, "I don't wobble." "You're a weeble. You don't wobble. You don't fall down." And I can't have a weeble. Weebles can wobble. I don't need weebles. I didn't say I was a weeble. You said I was a weeble. You can't be a weeble. You can't fall down. And so I said, "I need a sturdy table." I said, "Oliver, if I'm in this fucking movie, I'll be great in the movie. I promise." I mean. He went, "Okay, you'll be great in the movie. Okay, let's call up Jimmy and Gary and tell them to fuck themselves." And I said, "No, that's not my bed. I don't have to do that." So I went home, and by the time I got home, I'd been cast.
Wow.
Isn't that a son of a bitch?
Awesome, that's
man.
a dope fucking story. That's some legendary shit.
Legendary movie.
From like 4 days earlier, I learned the lines. Then I went to the Monkey Bar.
Yeah.
I had this scene with him. Then I was a night off Sunday. Monday, I'm in his office at Ixlin. And the next day, I stayed the night. And the next Tuesday at 5 in the afternoon, I'm casting the movie.
What's amazing about that is like the business was always...
It changed my whole life and career.
Business was always business, right? So it's interesting the way you break it down. You go, I get more money with this guy than that guy, right? Obviously, that part hasn't changed. But I feel like artistry changed.
Oh, it has changed.
The way things are done, the way people prepare, like that scene's never happening now. Fucking actors jumping in a car,
no,
without somebody going, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable with this."
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
it's not happening.
This
like
town
everybody back then, especially for me, man, because I was a kid and I was like, "Shit, can I get into his business?" And I was such a fan of everybody's. Even like Wincott, he's talking about in talk radio.
I had the same problem when I idolized Mickey. I was really good. I was really good friends with Mickey for like 10 years.
Well, you did Harley Davidson,
but I idolized him, and I would have to pinch myself sometimes to act normal around him. And he would come to me for advice, and I'd be like, "What the fuck is he asking me for advice? He's Mickey Rourke."
Well, my first time meeting Mickey was like, they always say, we did this once before in here where we talked about, meeting your heroes and getting disappointed. So the guys you came up looking up to, right? Which I'm assuming is some of the same
as you.
And I know De Niro was like one of your favorites because you had that napkin. Tommy had a napkin and
Bob
I want to do something else with you real quick, but like that De Niro wrote, "You're the best actor of your generation," and he wrote it on a napkin.
He did, right?
I think it was the only thing that was on Tom's wall.
It was it. I took everything else down. It was the only thing you could see on my wall.
Napkin from awesome. De Niro, But the Heat shit. The Heat. I was like coming over here today. I was actually. I don't know who I spoke to in the last 24 hours about it.
I was still living. I was still living at the Villa Flores when I started Heat.
Bro, I was on your set. You threw me out of your trailer. You got mad at me because I was making that Milk Bar movie, and you heard I was talking to Nick Cage. You're like, "I'm doing a fucking movie with De Niro and Pacino. I don't need you to come down here talking to me about the second lead. I'm fucking got a scene to shoot." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna dip now."
I remember.
I had my Rottweiler with me. I swear to God, I go walking out of his trailer with my Rottweiler. Pacino and 2 security guys come walking towards us like, "That's a big doggy," and he kept walking up, and I was like, "This is sick," But
Rob, I'm sorry. I remember that now because after you left, Glenn said, "How could you do that to Rob? How could you do that to Rob? You're doing too much. You're doing too much."
I'm like, "I don't want to upset you, bro. I know you got a big scene."
Our friend Glenn was still my assistant. He went, "How could you do that to Rob? That was Rob. That wasn't one of these punk motherfuckers."
You know what, dude? Here's the difference between me and the average guy, Tom. People can be like, "Oh, that guy's an asshole. He's an idiosyncrasy." About me, he's an egotistical. I respect people's idiosyncrasies. I respect people's sensitivities and other people. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Cool, man. It was cool. I love you."
What are you doing coming down here? I remember. What are you doing coming down here talking about me playing the fucking complete opposite?
But it was a gangster. I wanted him to play the gangster because Tom had done some movie, and I always told him, "I go, dude, you remind me of my dad in that movie, man." It was like
what movie was that?
witness for like the prosecution.
Witness protection?
Yeah, he was just like this mob guy.
Bobby
He's got to
Batten.
move his whole family. You know,
That's
it's like,
it. That's witness protection.
Right. So I was like, yo, I want to
With
be
Forrest
the mob
Whitaker.
guy in this movie I was making. And this company, Savoy, was trying to get like Nick Cage to do it. So I had to keep going meeting with Nick Cage. Such a long story.
Well, Nick and I are good
the whole
friends now.
studio wound up falling apart. You know?
You didn't get to do that movie? Oh, of course you did. I know what you did. I know what you
No,
done.
I didn't do it.
I know what you done. I know what you
didn't
done.
do
Yeah.
anything. I had to
I know what
fucking
you
sit
done.
in my house, bro.
I sent you and your Wilder home.
That's some funny shit.
That's hilarious.
We were downtown, weren't we? We were downtown, weren't we? We were down on Figueroa. We were on. I remember the day and everything now.
On the set of Heat.
Yes.
It completely
That's
came back to me
shootout
now.
scenes, man.
We were under an underpass right off Figueroa.
That's
We were
sick
doing.
as scene.
Tommy,
It was a
what
Saturday or
happened? So-
Sunday, and we were doing the shootout.
Let-
We did it
let's-
six weekends in a row. The shootout was done in 6 weekends on a Saturday and Sunday, 6 weeks in a row.
I was
So it
thinking
was
about
12
that
days.
scene. We were talking. Who the fuck was I talking to about the last day where we were talking about the Wayne Grove scene where you pick him up? At the
Oh,
beginning.
that's a good scene too.
Yeah, you put. What do you say? What do you say?
Well,
when you pull up?
he gets in. and,
No, he doesn't get in yet. You go. What's your name?
Yeah,
Slick?
I go.
What do you say?
I go. What's your name, Slick? And he goes,
Hold on.
He-
It's Wayne Grove.
Wayne Grove. And he gets in and he keeps talking, and then I finally say,
Right, no, and he says to you, he gets in, he goes,
maybe
"So
this
you guys
goes
are a
good,
tight-
maybe
you guys
this
are a
goes-
tight crew, right?
You guys are a tight crew.
What do
Maybe
you
this-
say? What do you say?
I don't know, but I say stop talking, okay, Slick. That's one of the
Yo,
best.
I want to act out the scene with you,
I
motherfucker.
know.
I see he's trying to set that
You want to
up.
do it so bad.
Come on, man.
I don't
That
remember
was
all
like
the-
one of his
What's your
dreams to
name?
do that.
Wayne Grove. And he's like, gets in. He's like, you guys are a tight crew. Real tight. You know, if this works out, I might consider going again. He's like, yeah. Do me a favor. Stop talking. Slick."
I say stop talking, okay, Slick.
Yeah.
And when I say it to him, I'm looking out the window. As I'm driving that truck, I go, yeah. Do me a favor, okay? Stop talking, okay, Slick. And then I'm looking at, and he looks at me, and then I looked over at him, and then he gives me that withering look, doesn't he? Like he's gonna kill me.
Boy, he take the glasses, come off, and he's dude. I watched
he was
it.
really good.
I
in the
watched
mo-
it for the
Kevin
first time.
Gage is great in that movie.
Bro, he's awesome, that guy. He should have worked a lot more. I've seen him in other shit, but that was like, he was awesome in that. I watched it, I want to say like 3-4 months ago. First time I'd seen it.
I watched it like
over
a month
decade.
ago. The first
And
time I seen
watched
it in a long
high.
time.
Like, I don't smoke that much weed, but I fucking saw it high, and I was like, holy fuck. Like, it was like all of a sudden, like, a whole new experience.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
You know, it
like,
gets-
layers up. But as a guy, and I tell this to guys who are interested in not just acting or making movies, but guys who have any kind of interest in seminal guy kind of fucking cinema,
Yeah.
like man shit, you gotta watch Heat.
100%.
You gotta watch it.
You gotta watch Heat. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Heat
you're
is
right.
like.
Those
you
are
know,
men. Those are
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
Those
It's a
are
man
men.
film.
Those are adult
But
situations.
it's even the way they deal with it, like I am alone, I am not lonely. You know what I mean? Val Kilmer with his like.
Al's relationship.
gambling
Al's
issue.
relationship with I just flaked on her name. The woman who plays his lover.
Yeah.
She's a
yeah.
wonderful actress.
Yeah,
she
is
played
great.
Hamlet on Broadway.
Yeah, she's great.
Well,
that's how the
fuck's her name?
conversation I had with somebody started because
That's
they
such
said
an
that
adult. That's such an
Pacino-
adult
Did you
relationship.
know
Yeah.
Pacino was playing like a cokehead? So he had discussed with Michael Mann. I want to, and this is what this
What
other
he was
person
saying?
telling
Vincent
me.
Hanna was a cokehead. The
Yes,
cop.
that Vincent Hanna. The way
That's not in the-
Pacino
that's not in
played
the
it is that
movie.
he was doing blow, and then
Was that like
then
a
Michael
secret?
Mann cut that shit, so that Pacino was like, "Nah, you just look like I'm over the top and crazy." This is what somebody's telling me. I don't know the veracity of it.
Well, look,
but this is my conversation
I'm
with
gonna tell you
somebody I heard
something.
Pacino
Michael
talking about.
directed that movie like 2 different movies.
Yeah.
He never would tell it, and I asked him because Michael and I became very close.
Right.
I did the
It
TV
was
show
their
with
crew
him.
and it was your crew.
Robbery Homicide Division. I
Right.
did with Michael 5 years later.
Right,
We became
right.
close then.
Right.
I became almost like a son. I was.
Right.
I went to his house.
He's
I mean,
awesome,
all
man.
the
He's a good
time.
dude,
I mean, I was
too.
in his.
Yeah,
I was
met
at his
him.
house at least twice a month
Yeah.
after the Heat experience.
Yeah.
You know, we went and drove cars together,
Yeah.
and shot guns together.
Yeah.
And I was with Michael all the time, and he directed that movie, and even when it was over, I couldn't get him. I was like pulling teeth to get him to tell me how he directed the cops,
Right.
and it was like 2 different movies. He
Right.
never told me.
That's crazy.
He
Wow.
directed those cops in a different, I don't know,
And a
directed
whole
them
different
differently,
vibe because
but
it was
a
a
whole
collision
different
course.
vibe.
It's just a collision course.
It was a collision course
Yeah.
of the 2 of them coming together, and but during the movie we couldn't get a word out of them about. We didn't know what they were doing or how they were doing it.
Yeah.
Asked Michael how did the scenes go with you know, even when Bob and Al finally did their scene, which he waited until like the last 3 weeks of the movie to do that.
Yeah.
You know, on purpose, I believe. It was like a big. I was there. It was a big moment. You know, when it was like Ali and Foreman.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. It was like dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
and here they come. Here comes.
You're sitting
they're
there
coming.
watching them shoot
Well,
that?
I was holding Bob's script.
Right, okay.
Because you know,
Were they both
Bob
off
does.
book,
Bob doesn't like to
Tom?
do. Bob. I don't know how he works now, but back then he doesn't like to do the lines for the first time. He likes to do it the first time. On
With the
set,
person. Yeah,
with the person.
okay,
He
interesting.
blah blah blahs it.
Yeah.
When I would run lines with him in the trailer, you know,
Yeah.
because we got really close, you know, he put me in rehab, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
I was become my godfather.
He flew you to rehab the first time, right?
Yeah, on a private jet.
I remember that, yeah.
I remember,
Was that your first time
Well,
on
my
PJ?
mom, and I remember telling my mom, this isn't bad, maybe I should get addicted to dope more often. And my mom was like, actually, Tommy, it's not so bad. I didn't expect it to be so nice. Because we're real poor people and we're on this private jet with Robert De Niro.
But was that your first PJ trip?
What?
Was it? Was your first trip on a PJ? A private jet at that time?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
the
that's
first
it.
time
Your
ever.
first
Remember,
trip- your
on a
first
private
trip-
jet.
Tom Sizemore was your first trip on a PJ. He's on
Yeah,
his
and
way
we
to
and we
rehab.
jumped the
First
line
season
too.
here.
We got to the airport and we jumped the line with all these other jets in front of us, and,
Yeah.
and Bob jumped the line because my mother had to be back in Detroit for my brother's graduating from high school,
Right.
and so he jumped the line with us for like 2 hours to go, and we jumped this line, and we flew. And he flew her to Michigan. He flew me to Arizona,
Yeah.
and he flew my mom to Michigan.
Yeah, he definitely had your back. I remember
he
all
was
that. I
a
remember
he was a
Glenn telling me all
gentleman's
that.
gentleman.
Yeah.
He was so good to me and my family, and
Yeah.
to this day, he and my mom are close.
Yeah.
He was told, I don't know who told him this, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, that your relationship with Tom is keeping him from getting sober because he can.
Oh,
I mean,
like
there's
he's an
certain kind
enabler.
of truth in that, because he would give me, and he did get me out of a lot of.
A lot of jams?
Yeah, it's just true. And maybe it was true. I don't know. He didn't put any dope in my, but maybe my relationship with him, like, hey, I can do this because of him.
Well, they just say that to people who support people during those
Right.
times, make it easier for people to just,
Right.
they're enabled.
But
So you're holding this. I don't want to even get off this because this. I mean, like, there's
No,
so
so
interesting
on the
things
set,
going
on the
on
set.
here
I
at the
know,
same
right?
time. We're on the set and we're on the relationship with De Niro and the rehab.
Yeah, and he's been
dovetailing
so
them
good to
together.
my mom. It's just like,
Yeah.
right, never forgets her birthday.
Yeah.
You know, he's just that kind of cat, man. He's loyal. And he's got friends he had when he was 18. He
Yeah.
still got them.
What do you mean? He's got Barry Primus. You know,
That's what I'm talking about.
Barry lives around the corner
Barry,
from you, man.
Barry was his best friend
I
when he
know.
was like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
15.
Yeah.
Wow.
He brought Barry with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Barry lives
if
down the block
without
from me,
Bob,
yeah.
Barry's not out here.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know
you know,
what I'm saying?
Barry was supposed to be Mean Streets. Barry had one of the
I
leads
know.
in Mean Streets. Barry suggested.
What? Hey, what's
But
Paul?
you know,
Hey,
Barry Primus suggested De Niro to Scorsese.
I know
for
he
Mean
did.
Streets.
For Mean Streets.
He was supposed to be in it, and he left to go do a fucking play. And they gave
At
Harvey
that point,
Keitel
Harvey
his role.
Harvey
Yes.
was Marty's guy, and
Yes.
Harvey was going to play the part
Yes.
and Taxi Driver.
Yes,
That-
but
that
he
was
said,
also-
Barry said that he went to Marty. He goes, you know, who you should use for this movie in this role is
To play Johnny
Bob
Boy,
De Niro.
Johnny Boy.
And he goes, what that kid from Mott Street? Yeah, I don't want to use that guy's name. He goes,
No,
no,
kid,
he's
kid from Kenmar Street,
wherever
wasn't it? Kenmar?
He was like,
it was
the kid from
Kenmar
down
Street,
there
bro. I
on
know
the-
it.
on the street, but he's like, that kid. He's like,
He was
I
the
don't
milk
know,
boy
I
from
don't know. He's
Kenmar
like, no, you
Street.
should meet with him.
They
She's
called him
a-
the milk boy
and
'cause he
that
was so
becomes
pale.
one of the greatest
Funny.
collaborations in director,
Period.
actor,
He was called the
in
milk boy
history.
from Kenmar Street because he was so pale.
Oh, that's what it was.
The
Kenmar
milk
Street?
boy,
That's
the
so
milk
funny.
boy from Kenmar Street.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? The milk boy from Kenmar Street? And he met him, and it was the hat too. Marty loved the hat.
Yeah.
Remember the hat Bob has?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, he said he really liked the hat, and then he read the fuck out of it, and everything changed. Everything changed.
Yeah.
I mean, and,
It's
and
crazy,
you know who had to really roll with it was Harvey, because Harvey lost Travis Bickle,
Right.
and he lost Marty's ear in a lot of
Right.
ways. And Harvey's a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
things are a lot
fuck
different
yeah,
though
man.
if De Niro doesn't do those movies.
Harvey's had a very he'd be a cool guy to have on here. He's had a very interesting
Harvey's a
career.
brilliant guy.
I mean, it's sick. I mean,
He's
the guy
absolutely
the guy
brilliant
was
guy.
shot like a month of Apocalypse Now, and then
He got
replaced
fired.
by Martin Sheen.
I
It's sick.
always feel
He
like
got
the
fired.
Wolf should have got his
Sick.
own spin-off.
And you know he got fired.
Yeah,
And you know he got
Pulp
fired. You know what he got?
Oh,
He
really?
basically
Yeah,
got.
I always feel like
he
he
basically
should.
got
He was
fired
such a
because
great character,
He
man.
he basically got
Big
fired
sir?
because Francis didn't really like what he was doing it great, but he didn't like how he did it. Was doing it.
Yeah,
He didn't
He
like the
probably sounded
interpretation.
New York, like the super
He
New
didn't-
York guy versus Marty
Well,
Sheen.
do you remember?
Very, like,
Do you remember Temptation of Christ? Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden Harvey starts
Oh,
talking.
yeah,
He
it's
sound-
just like the Last Supper, right? It's like yeah. It's almost like,
It doesn't make any
like,
sense.
what are you doing
Yeah,
here?
it's like really bizarre.
What
You
are we
got
doing
Willem-
with
you
this
got
guy?
Willem- You got Willem Dafoe, and you got these other
yeah,
trained actors talking with no accent.
Right, no,
And then
it's
Harvey
like
goes, "Hey, what's going on around this motherfucker, man? Here we are. What's King Hat up to, man? He's gonna cut off all of it. He's gonna kill all the babies. What the fuck? It's bizarre. If you close your eyes, it sounds
He's
bizarre.
super fucking specific. You know what I mean?
That's
He's very
funny.
very specific.
Have you seen The
guy.
Bad Lieutenant?
Yeah, bro, I almost threw up, man.
That's
I
a
went.
great
I saw
movie.
that like by us, man. At the what did they have out here at Lemley's?
I was living at the Villa
So I had
Flores.
the
then.
worst headache. That's when I went and saw it. It was like between the cocaine, the music, the lighting. When I left, I
You
was
gotta
like,
rub your temples.
Oh,
like
my
I
God,
came out,
yeah.
I was like, oh man.
Oh,
was
that
like the
movie did.
worst
That movie fucked with
experience.
your sense. It was a sensory overload.
Yeah, it was just like it was too much.
Especially if you were
man.
doing
It was
blow
like
at the time.
jerking it with the girls in the car. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
stick your fucking tongue out. You don't put
Yeah,
your
yeah,
ass
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
You want to be a bad girl? And you're just like, what the
Like, what the
fuck
fuck is going on?
And then you're in churches and stained
Oh, I
glass
know.
and
When
rails on tables.
when
You're just
Frankie
like,
when,
get me
you
out
know,
of here.
Frankie
man.
Thorne,
It was a lot.
Frankie Thorne played the nun.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to date her before the nun.
Right.
And then she was my friend, and I went to see the movie, not with her, but she said, "Get ready." Remember the nun? And she's dead.
Vaguely,
the
yeah.
red hair.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, that shit was so awful. They fuck her they fuck her right there, and they rape her.
Yeah.
The three guys do, and they rape her, and they don't kill her though.
Yeah.
They rape her and let her live. You
I
guys
think
remember the
blocked
movie?
that part
I
out,
don't remember it
man.
that well. No.
right?
Yeah,
No.
of course.
Frankie Thorne played the nun. The really pretty. She doesn't talk. She has the red hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty body. Yeah, she plays the nun
Gorgeous.
they rape. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yo, ask me my name.
What's that?
Ask me my name.
Your name?
Yeah.
Hey, what's your name?
Wayne Girl.
You wanna do
Get in.
shit so bad.
Get in. Get in.
You guys are a tight crew, huh?
Yeah.
Real tight. Tommy, you're the fucking man, dude. I
You
can
the
sit here
man,
with you
bro.
for like 10
For
hours,
real,
dude.
I'm
and
like-
talk forever, man.
Like, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, God damn, we should have.
You see that shit coming out of their ears? They can't fucking hear
I can't
you.
hear you, slick.
Yeah, Tom, thanks so much, my man. Appreciate
We gotta
it.
get you back.
Thank you so
Legendary.
much.
We got some
Legendary.
ideas. We got to get you
Yeah,
back.
we're gonna have
Yo,
Tom back. We got some cool ideas.
We'll be
for,
back in 10 seconds.
Let's
with,
make another movie we
DJ
can do
MOS.
impressions from, though. That's the idea.
Fuck yeah, man. Let's do something.
Yeah.
Definitely.